Maybe stop spending like a queen, Claire. The cashier looked down at the card reader like she wished she could disappear with me. Before I tell you how court papers exposed my husband, stay with the last receipt. Because that card did not decline because we were broke. It declined because Mark wanted me to believe we were. Do you want to try another card? The cashier asked. Her voice was gentle, but the people behind me were not. I heard a cartwheel squeak. I heard a woman sigh. I heard the scanner beep at another register like life was moving for everyone except me. I'm sorry, I said. Just give me 1 second. My hand felt cold around my phone. Mark picked up on the 5th ring. What? Mark, the grocery card declined. There was a pause. Then he laughed once, dry and sharp. Again? I stared at the milk, bread, eggs, chicken, detergent, and Lily's cereal sitting in front of me. It's groceries, I said. Not jewelry. Claire, you always say that. I spent $112. And somehow that's supposed to sound small? The cashier looked away. My throat tightened so badly I had to swallow twice before I could speak. Can you please transfer money? People are waiting. So now I'm supposed to rescue you because you can't manage a simple budget? Mark. No, listen to me. Maybe stop spending like a queen and start acting like a wife who understands pressure. The word wife landed harder than the declined card. A man behind me cleared his throat. Please, I whispered. Mark exhaled like I had ruined his whole day. Fine. Take off the chicken. Take off the detergent. You don't need both today. I looked at the cashier. Can you remove the chicken and detergent? Her eyes softened. Of course. I wanted her pity less than I wanted the floor to open. When I got home, Mark was already in the kitchen, standing by the counter with his sleeves rolled up like a man who had been carrying the world. The house smelled like coffee and his expensive cedar cologne. He did not look worried. He looked prepared. Lily was upstairs doing homework, and I was grateful she had not seen me walk in with 2 thin grocery bags instead of the weekly food shop. Mark looked at the bags. That's it? You told me to put things back. I told you to be practical. I set the bags on the counter. There's a difference. He rubbed his forehead. Claire, I'm tired. So am I. No, you're frustrated because you heard the word no. I turned toward him slowly. The card declined in public. And whose fault is that? My fingers curled against the edge of the counter. I don't know, Mark. That's why I called you. He looked at me then, really looked, and his face changed. The sharpness softened. His voice dropped. That was always his second version. The caring husband. I didn't want to tell you like this, he said. My stomach went still. Tell me what? He looked down at the floor. My salary got reduced. The kitchen went quiet except for the hum of the refrigerator. What? It happened last month. You said your review went fine. It did. Then how did your salary get reduced? He pressed his lips together. Company restructuring. New compensation model. It's complicated. Why didn't you tell me? Because I knew you'd panic. I laughed, but there was no humor in it. I panicked at a grocery store, Mark. I was trying to protect you. No. Protecting me would have been telling me before my card declined over cereal and eggs. His jaw tightened. There it is. I tried to carry the stress alone, and somehow I'm still the villain. I didn't call you a villain. You didn't have to. The back door opened before I could answer. Helen walked in without knocking, holding a small paper bag from the bakery she liked. Hello, she called. I brought scones. Mark closed his eyes like a tired saint. Helen saw the bags, saw my face, then saw her son. What happened? Nothing, Mom, Mark said. It's not nothing, I said. Helen placed the bakery bag on the table. Claire? The grocery card declined. Helen's eyebrows rose. Oh. And Mark just told me his salary was reduced last month. Helen looked at Mark first, not me. Sweetheart, why didn't you say something? I didn't want everyone making a big thing of it, he said. I stared at him. Everyone. That meant me. Helen walked closer and touched his arm. You carry too much. I felt something small crack inside me. He let me find out at the register. Helen turned to me. Claire, I'm sure he was embarrassed. I was embarrassed. Yes, but men feel these things differently. I blinked. Are you serious? She softened her voice, but not her meaning. A good wife helps her husband through hard seasons. She doesn't interrogate him the second he walks in. He was already home. Mark gave a tired little laugh. See? This is what I mean. Helen sighed. Claire, money gets tight. You have to adjust. I looked at her bakery bag. You brought scones from the place that charges $6 each. Her mouth opened, then closed. Mark stepped in quickly. Don't drag Mom into this. She walked into this. Helen's face hardened. I came to support my son. And I'm his wife. Yes, she said quietly. Then act like it. The room went silent. My cheeks burned, but my hands felt strangely steady. For 1 second, I saw my mother at our old kitchen table when I was 12, counting quarters for gas while my father said she was dramatic. I remembered her whispering, never let someone make you beg for what belongs to the household. Back then, I did not understand. Standing in my own kitchen with half the groceries missing, I did. Mark leaned against the counter. I need cooperation, Claire. Not accusations. I looked at him. Then give me numbers. His expression changed. What? Your salary before. Your salary now. What changed? When it changed. How much we have. What bills are late. Helen made a small sound. Claire, this is not the time. It became the time when I had to remove dinner from the checkout belt. Mark's voice lowered. You don't need to see every detail. Yes, I do. No, he said. You need to trust your husband. I held his stare. Trust is not a spreadsheet you hide. His eyes flashed. Careful. The word was soft, but it chilled the room. Helen looked between us. Mark. He straightened. I mean, careful with your tone. I'm under pressure. But that was not what he meant. I knew it. He knew I knew it. I picked up my phone from the counter. What are you doing? He asked. Checking the bank app. We can talk later. I'm checking now. He reached for a mug and turned away. Suit yourself. The app opened slowly. My thumb hovered over the alerts tab. There they were. Declined transaction. Declined transaction. Low balance warning. Transfer failed. I took screenshots of each one. Mark looked over his shoulder. Why are you screenshotting that? For my memory. Your memory? Yes. Since apparently I misunderstand money, pressure, groceries, and marriage. Helen frowned. That sounds dramatic. No, I said. Dramatic was standing under fluorescent lights while strangers watched me put back detergent. Mark turned fully toward me. Don't turn this into some story. I looked at him, and for the first time that day, my voice did not shake. I'm not turning it into anything. He folded his arms. Good. I saved the screenshots into a private folder and changed the folder name to one word. Money. Then I opened my notes app and typed the date, the store, the amount, and the sentence Mark had said on the phone. Maybe stop spending like a queen. My thumb hovered for a second before I saved it. The kitchen felt colder than before. Helen picked up her bakery bag. I think I should go. Mark's face softened again. Mom, you don't have to. I do, she said, but her eyes moved to the grocery bags. For the first time, she looked unsure. Not sorry. Not convinced. Just unsure. That was enough for me to notice. After she left, Mark stood near the sink and watched me put away the groceries. You're making this bigger than it is, he said. I placed Lily's cereal in the cabinet. No, Mark. He waited. I closed the cabinet door gently. I think you made it smaller than it was. His mouth tightened. You have no idea what I deal with. You're right, I said. I don't. Then I looked at him. But I'm going to. That night, I lay awake beside him while he slept easily. The sheets felt heavy around my legs. The room smelled faintly of cedar and rain through the cracked window. My chest hurt, not from fear exactly, but from the first honest thought I had allowed myself to think. Maybe we were not struggling. Maybe I was being managed. And maybe the man beside me had not lost his salary at all. The next morning, Mark made oatmeal with water. Not milk. Water. He stood at the stove stirring it like he wanted me to see the sacrifice. I'm taking leftovers for lunch, he said. I poured Lily a small glass of orange juice. That's fine. He glanced at me. Just fine? What do you want me to say? He tapped the spoon against the pot. I want you to understand we're cutting back. I understood that yesterday at the grocery store. His mouth tightened. You're still doing that thing. What thing? Punishing me for being honest. I looked at the thin oatmeal in the pot. Honest would have been telling me before the card declined. Mark turned off the burner. I was trying to spare you. You keep saying that. Because it's true. Lily walked into the kitchen wearing her blue school sweater, her hair still messy from sleep. Why are you two whisper fighting? Mark smiled at her immediately. We're not, sweetheart. I picked up her backpack from the chair. We're talking about grown-up things. Lily looked at the oatmeal. Can I have toast? Mark's smile faded a little. We're not wasting food, Lil. Her cheeks went pink. I didn't say waste. I stepped between them before his mood could land on her. I'll make toast. You can take the oatmeal in a cup for the car. Mark looked at me. Toast uses bread. I held his stare. Our daughter can have toast. For a second, the room felt too small. Then he lifted both hands. Fine. I'm the monster because I mentioned bread. Lily looked down at her socks. That was the first thing I hated most about that week. Not the missing money. Not the groceries. The way his stress started reaching for her. After Lily left for school, Mark packed a plastic container with last night's plain rice and half a chicken breast I had stretched from dinner. He made sure to leave the lid open on the counter. See, he said. I looked at it. I see rice. I'm not eating out. I'm not buying coffee. I'm not doing anything for myself. The silver edge of his sleeve lifted as he reached for his phone. That was when I saw it. A watch I had never seen before. Dark leather strap. Clean black face. Heavy enough to look expensive. When did you get that? I asked. He looked down too quickly. What? The watch. He slipped his cuff over it. It's old. I've never seen it. You don't notice everything I own. I do laundry, Mark. His jaw moved. It was in a drawer. Which drawer? He laughed. Are we doing inventory now? I felt heat rise behind my neck, but I kept my voice low. No. I asked a question. And I answered. No, you moved around it. He grabbed his lunch container and snapped the lid on hard. I have a reduced salary, a tense house, a wife who thinks she's a detective, and now I'm being interrogated over a watch. Was it expensive? It was a gift. From who? He leaned closer. Careful, Claire. There it was again. That soft warning. Not loud enough to call abuse. Not clear enough to quote without sounding dramatic. Just enough to make my stomach fold. He left before I could ask anything else. The door shut with a clean click. His cologne stayed behind. I stood at the sink with my hands under warm dishwater until my fingers started to prune. I was not angry yet. I was scared. Not of him hitting me. Mark was not that kind of man. I was scared of being erased so quietly that even I would help him do it. At 10:30, Helen called. I almost ignored it. Then I answered. Claire, she said, I hope you're calmer today. Good morning to you too. I'm not attacking you. You opened with calmer. She sighed. I know my son. He takes pressure into his body. His father was the same. That doesn't explain why I found out about a salary cut at a grocery register. He probably felt ashamed. So I got the public shame instead? Helen paused. That's not fair. No, it wasn't. I meant what you said. I looked out the kitchen window at the wet lawn. Helen, did Mark tell you his salary was reduced? He mentioned things were tight. That's not what I asked. He said the company was changing things. When? A few weeks ago. A few weeks ago, I repeated. Yes. And you didn't think I should know? It was not my marriage to manage. But yesterday you managed it fine. Her breathing changed. I came because my son sounded upset. I was upset too. You have a sharper tongue than you realize, Claire. I closed my eyes. And Mark has a softer knife than you realize. She went silent. Then her voice hardened. A good wife helps her husband through hard times. A good husband doesn't hide the hard times and then blame his wife for tripping over them. That is not what happened. Then what happened? He tried to protect his pride. No, I said. He protected his control. Helen ended the call after saying she had errands. But she did not argue the last sentence. At noon, I sat at the dining table with my laptop open. I logged into our shared credit card account because that was one account I still had access to. Most charges were ordinary. Gas. Pharmacy. Electric bill. Then I saw one from a private golf club. $280. Then another. $165. Then a restaurant charge from the same day he had told me he was taking leftovers. $89.40. I stared at the numbers until they blurred. My hands felt dry now, too dry, like the skin across my knuckles might split. I took screenshots. Golf club. Restaurant. Men's store. Parking garage downtown. Then I opened my voice memo app and placed the phone face down on the table. When Mark came home, I was folding laundry on the couch. His watch was gone. That told me more than if he had worn it. How was your rice? I asked. He stopped near the hallway. What? Your lunch. The rice. Fine. Did you eat all of it? His eyes narrowed. What kind of question is that? A normal one. No, Claire. Nothing is normal when you ask it like that. I folded one of Lily's shirts. Did you go anywhere for lunch? He set his keys on the table. I had a meeting. At a restaurant? He froze for half a second. Then he recovered. Business lunch. Paid by the company? Eventually. That means no. His face changed. You checked the card. It's a shared card. It's my card. It has both our names on it. I pay it. With the salary that supposedly got reduced. He walked toward me slowly. Cash flow is complicated. The phone recorded under the towel beside me. How complicated? He stood over the laundry basket. You wouldn't understand. Try me. You don't work in my world. I used to work in finance operations before Lily. You processed invoices, Claire. Don't dress it up. The words hit harder than I expected. Not because they were clever. Because they reached backward. Before Lily, before staying home, before I let his career become the center of our house, I had been good at my job. I had liked numbers because numbers did not smirk. You asked me to leave that job, I said. He laughed under his breath. No, you wanted to stay home. I looked up. What? You were exhausted. You hated the commute. You said Lily needed you. She was 3 months old. And you chose comfort. The room tilted. Comfort? You liked not answering to a boss. I answered to a baby, a house, your mother, your schedule, your dinners, your dry cleaning, your moods. His eyes sharpened. Don't make motherhood sound like prison. Don't make financial dependence sound like vacation. He leaned down and picked up one of his shirts from the basket. I'm not doing this. You told me we could afford it. We could then. You told me it was best for our family. It was. You told me my job was costing us more than it brought in after childcare. It was true. So why are you saying I chose comfort? He stared at me for a long second. Then he smiled without warmth. Because you need someone to blame for your own choices. I felt my throat close, but I did not cry. I would not give him that part. He went upstairs. When his footsteps faded, I stopped the voice memo. My thumb shook as I renamed it. Cash flow conversation. Then I opened my old email account. I searched Mark's name and the word quit. 6 results appeared. The oldest one was from 5 years ago. Mark had written, Claire, we agreed it makes more sense for you to pause work. My salary can carry us easily, and Lily needs consistency. I forwarded it to a private email account I had not used in years. Then I searched childcare. Another email. Once you leave, we'll stop bleeding money on daycare. I forwarded that too. Then one more. Trust me on this. I'll handle the income side. I read that line 3 times. Trust me. I forwarded it. That evening, I called my sister Megan while sitting in the car in the driveway because I did not want Mark hearing her voice through the wall. Megan, I think something is wrong with the money. What kind of wrong? Mark says his salary was reduced, but he's still charging golf club fees and restaurant lunches. She was quiet. Could it be work-related? That's what he said. Then maybe it is. I gripped the steering wheel. He bought or received a new watch and lied about it. Claire. What? You know I love you, but you get anxious when money is involved. I looked at the garage door. That's because I grew up watching Mom count coins. I know. No, you don't know what this feels like. He is telling everyone I'm reckless while hiding things from me. I'm not defending him. You are doubting me. I'm trying to keep you from blowing up your marriage over charges you don't fully understand. My eyes stung. I removed chicken from a grocery belt yesterday. Megan went quiet. That happened? Yes. You didn't tell me that part. I was embarrassed. Her voice softened. Claire. And he told me to stop spending like a queen. Megan exhaled. That's cruel. It was public. Okay, she said slowly. Send me what you have. Not because I think he's guilty. Because I think you need someone else to see it. That was not belief. But it was a door opening. I'll send it. And Claire? Yes? Don't confront him without proof. I looked through the windshield at the house I had helped build into a home. The porch light flickered once. I think proof is exactly what he's afraid of. Later that night, Mark came downstairs after his shower and stood in the doorway of the living room. His hair was damp. His t-shirt smelled like clean cotton and soap. For a moment, he looked like the man I married. That was the cruel part. He could still wear the shape of safety. "I don't want us fighting," he said. I closed the book I had not been reading. "Neither do I." He came closer. "I'm sorry about the grocery store." I studied his face. "For what part?" His expression tightened. "For snapping." "Not for hiding the salary cut?" "I didn't hide it. I delayed a hard conversation." "That's a nice sentence." "It's the truth." "No, Mark. It's packaging." He sat across from me. "I'm trying to keep this family stable." "By making me feel unstable?" His mouth parted, then shut. I waited. He stood. "I can't talk when you're like this." "Like what?" "Suspicious." I looked down at my hands. They were steady now. "Then give me something that makes suspicion unnecessary." He did not answer. He went upstairs again. And I sat there in the quiet, listening to the house settle around me. One day earlier, I had felt ashamed because a card declined. Now I felt something different. The shame was moving. Not leaving. Moving. From me to where it belonged. The bank alert came at 6:14 in the morning. I was standing in the laundry room, holding one of Mark's white dress shirts, when my phone buzzed on top of the dryer. Transfer confirmation. I stared at the screen. The account name was not our checking account. It was not our savings account. It was not the credit card. It said, "Transfer completed to MLS Reserve." My husband's name was Mark Ellis. My fingers tightened around the shirt until the cotton twisted in my hand. For a second, all I could hear was the dryer thumping behind me. Then the alert vanished from my locked screen. "No," I whispered. I unlocked the phone and opened the bank app. Nothing showed in our shared account except the same thin balance that had declined at the grocery store. I checked notifications. The alert was still there. I took a screenshot. Then another. Then I emailed it to myself before my hands could start shaking. Mark walked into the laundry room wearing his navy suit pants and no tie. "Why are you up so early?" I turned the phone screen down on the dryer. "Laundry. At 6 in the morning? You needed shirts." He looked at the shirt in my hand. "That one has a stain." "I know." His eyes moved to my phone. "What was that notification?" I picked up the stain spray. "A bank alert." "What kind?" "The kind about a transfer." He did not move. The dryer hummed between us like it was trying to cover the silence. "To what account?" I asked. Mark's face changed so slightly that anyone else might have missed it. But I was watching now. "What account?" he said. "MLS Reserve." His mouth pressed into a line. "Where did you see that?" "On my phone." "That alert shouldn't have gone to you." The words came out before he could stop them. I let them sit there. Then I asked, "Why?" He blinked once. "Because it's an old account. Old accounts don't receive fresh transfers at 6:14 in the morning." He stepped closer and lowered his voice. "Claire, don't do this before coffee." "Don't do what?" "Turn every financial detail into an accusation." I looked at him. "You said your salary was reduced." "It was." "Then why is money going into an account I don't know about?" "It's not what you think." "I haven't told you what I think." Mark rubbed both hands over his face. Then he sighed like a man preparing to be noble. "I kept a reserve account." "For what?" "For emergencies." "What emergency?" "This." I almost laughed. "This?" "Yes, this." You panicking. You spiraling. You making one hard month feel like a disaster. My thumb pressed against the stained bottle until the plastic creaked. You hid money in case I reacted badly to finding out you hid money? That's not fair. It's exactly what you said. No, Claire. I hid it to protect the family. There it was again. Protect. He used that word like a locked door. Families don't get protected by secret accounts. Sometimes they do when one person can't handle stress. My mouth went dry. Is that what you tell yourself? It's what I live with. I stared at the shirt in my hand, at the faint yellow stain near the cuff. A few years ago, I would have apologized. I would have said I was overwhelmed. I would have asked how to help. That morning, I heard my own silence differently. It was not weakness anymore. It was evidence gathering. How much is in it? I asked. His face hardened. That account is none of your business. Our mortgage is my business. Our daughter's groceries are my business. Our bills are my business. He leaned against the doorway. You don't know how much pressure I'm under. Show me. What? Show me the account. Show me the salary reduction. Show me the pressure. He laughed softly. You think marriage means I hand over every login because you got embarrassed at a store? No. I think marriage means we don't create secret reserves while telling our wife to put chicken back. His eyes sharpened. You're getting very brave over a screenshot. The air in the laundry room felt heavy and warm from the dryer, but my arms went cold. What does that mean? It means don't mistake fragments for truth. Then give me the truth. He stepped away. I have a meeting. Of course you do. He stopped at the hall. Claire. I waited. Maybe think about Lily before you start a war. My breath caught. He watched the line land. Then his face softened. I don't want this to hurt her. I nodded slowly. No. He frowned. You don't? I don't want this to hurt her either. Good. But hiding money from her mother already did. His jaw tightened. He left without another word. When the front door shut, the house became too quiet. I stood in the laundry room until the dryer buzzed. The sound made me flinch. I pulled the clothes out, but I did not fold them. Instead, I went to the kitchen table with my laptop, my phone, and a black notebook I had bought months ago for meal planning. Now it had a new purpose. I wrote the date. Bank alert. MLS reserve. Mark said alert should not have gone to me. Mark said account was none of my business. Mark said think about Lily. The last sentence made my stomach turn. Not because it was loud. Because it was careful. A threat dressed as fatherhood. At 9, Megan called. I looked at the screenshots you sent, she said. And? I don't know what I'm looking at. You're looking at Mark spending money while saying we don't have any. I get that part. But golf charges and a weird bank alert don't prove a hidden salary. I pressed my palm against my forehead. I know. I'm not saying you're wrong. You sound like you are. I'm saying Mark is good at sounding reasonable. If you go in emotional, he will make you look unstable. That hurt because it was true. He already is. Megan's voice softened. Then don't help him. I looked at the notebook. What do I do? You collect. Quietly. Dates, screenshots, emails. Anything he says, write it down. But Claire, please don't corner him without someone else knowing. You believe me? I believe something is wrong. It was not everything. But it was more than yesterday. After we hung up, I searched the filing cabinet in the hallway. Insurance. Mortgage. Old tax documents. Car registration. Mark kept the folders too neat, labeled in his block handwriting like a man who wanted the world to believe order meant honesty. In the 2021 tax folder, I found an old paycheck stub. Then another. Then a year-end bonus letter. My fingers brushed the paper edges, and one corner sliced my thumb. A thin red line appeared. I stared at it. The cut was tiny, but it burned. I pressed my thumb against a tissue and kept going. The paycheck from 5 years ago was higher than Mark had made it sound back then. Much higher. I took photos. I scanned them with my phone. I uploaded them to my private email. Then I put every paper back exactly where I found it. Before lunch, I walked to the mailbox. Most of it was junk. A grocery coupon. A dentist reminder. A thick envelope addressed to Mark Ellis. The return address was a financial firm downtown. Bentley and Rowe Wealth Management. The mailing address was not our home first. A smaller line under his name said, "Forwarded from office address." I stood at the curb with the envelope in my hand while a cold breeze moved under my sweater. Forwarded from office address. He had financial mail going to work. Then somehow it had come here. I did not open it. That mattered. I took photos of the front and back. Then I placed it on the entry table with the rest of the mail. When Mark came home, he saw it within 3 seconds. He did not take off his coat first. He did not kiss my cheek. He picked up the envelope. "Did you open this?" "No." "Did you photograph it?" I looked at him. "Why would you ask that?" "Because lately you photograph everything." I photographed the bank alert. "Not your mail." His eyes searched my face. "That's private. You get wealth management mail at your office?" "It's old. That word is doing a lot of work this week." He tucked the envelope under his arm. "It's retirement planning." "From a secret account?" "From my job." "Then why did it come here?" "Because mail forwarding exists, Claire." "Why was it going to your office at all?" He stared at me. Then the fake softness returned. "Because I didn't want to overwhelm you." I laughed once. He flinched like the sound offended him. "Do you hear yourself?" I asked. "Yes. I hear a husband trying to keep financial stress from burying his wife." "No. I hear a man building rooms in our marriage and locking me out of every one." His eyes darkened. "You need to stop talking like that." "Like what?" "Like you're the victim of some grand crime." I stepped closer. "Then stop leaving clues." His face went still. For the first time, he did not have an answer ready. That scared me more than his words. Because silence meant calculation. That night, after he went to sleep, I lay beside him with my eyes open. His breathing was steady. Mine was not. The room smelled like rain and cedar again, but now even that scent felt staged, like the safe version of him had been sprayed into the air. I thought about the first apartment we rented after our wedding. The cracked window over the sink. The cheap white plates. The night he brought home flowers from the gas station because he said payday was still 3 days away. Back then, I had loved the flowers more because they were cheap. I thought we had been building from nothing together. Now I wondered if I had been the only one standing in nothing. I slipped out of bed and opened my laptop in the dark kitchen. The screen lit my hands blue. I created a folder inside my private email. Then I copied every screenshot, every memo, every forwarded message, every tax photo, every note. I named the folder Court. I did not know yet if I would need it. But something in me already knew he had been preparing for a fight long before I admitted there was one. At 1:03 a.m., I sent one final email to myself. Subject line, "If anything disappears." In the body, I typed one sentence. Mark is hiding money, and I am not imagining it. Then I hit send. For the first time in days, I slept. Helen invited us to Sunday dinner 2 days later. She said it was just family. Mark said it would be good for me. That was how I knew it would not be good for me. You need to be around people who love you, he said while buttoning his shirt. I stood by the dresser and watched him fasten the same silver cufflinks he wore to client dinners. People who love me? Yes. Or people who believe you? His hands paused. Don't start. I asked a question. You asked it like an accusation. I looked at his cufflinks. Funny how questions keep sounding like that to you. He turned toward me. My mother is worried. About me? About us. Did you tell her about the reserve account? His face hardened. I told her you were stressed. That is not the same thing. It's the version she needs. The version she needs. I felt those words settle into my ribs. You mean the version that protects you? He exhaled slowly. Claire, tonight is not court. I looked at him. No. It's dinner. He smiled faintly. Then act like it. Helen's house was warm when we arrived. Too warm. The dining room lights were low, the football game murmured from the living room, and Mark's cousins were laughing near the kitchen island. Plates clinked. Someone opened a bottle of wine. The smell of roast beef and rosemary filled the hallway so heavily it made my stomach turn. It was the perfect room to make a woman look unreasonable. Too many ears. Too much noise. Too many people already trained to see Mark as steady and me as emotional. Helen kissed Mark's cheek first. My boy. Then she hugged me. You look tired, Claire. I am. Her hand stayed on my shoulders a second too long. Try to relax tonight. Mark looked at me over her shoulder. I smiled because Lily was standing beside me, holding the pie we had brought. I'll try. At the table, Mark sat beside me and placed his hand on my knee. To everyone else, it looked affectionate. To me, it felt like a warning. Helen raised her glass. To family getting through hard seasons. Everyone murmured agreement. Mark squeezed my knee. I lifted my glass but did not drink. His cousin Daniel looked at him. Work still brutal? Mark gave a tired smile. You know how it is. Restructuring, budget cuts, people pretending numbers are feelings. A few people laughed. I stared at my plate. Helen glanced at me, then back to Mark. Mark has always carried pressure quietly. He does carry it quietly, I said. The table went still for half a second. Then Daniel's wife, Rachel, tried to save it. This roast is amazing, Helen. Helen smiled too fast. Thank you, sweetheart. Mark leaned close to my ear. Don't. I turned my head slightly. Don't what? He smiled at Daniel while speaking under his breath. Perform. I placed my fork down. The sound was small, but Mark heard it. Helen heard it too. Claire, she said softly, is everything all right? There it was. The invitation wrapped like concern. I looked at her. Do you want the polite answer or the honest one? Mark laughed lightly. She's been under a lot of stress. No, I said. I've been under a lot of silence. Daniel shifted in his chair. Rachel looked at her wineglass. Helen's expression tightened. This may not be the place. Yesterday the grocery store wasn't the place either, I said. Funny how there is never a place when I'm the one asking. Mark's hand left my knee. Claire. I looked at him. Did your salary get reduced? He stared at me. Not here. That's not an answer. Helen's voice sharpened. He told you it did. Yes. He told me. Mark's father's old clock ticked from the hallway. Lily sat quietly beside Rachel, moving mashed potatoes around her plate. That was when guilt pierced me. Not guilt for asking. Guilt that my daughter had learned silence from watching me. I softened my voice. Lily, sweetheart, can you help Rachel check on dessert? Rachel stood quickly. Of course. Come on, honey. Lily looked at me. Mom? It's okay. She followed Rachel out. The second she left, Mark's face changed. You are unbelievable. No, I said. I am finally careful. Helen put her napkin on the table. This is exactly what I was afraid of. What were you afraid of? That you would turn a private difficulty into a public trial. I looked around the table. Mark made it public when he told people I can't manage money. Daniel looked at Mark. You said that? Mark's face stayed calm. I said we were cutting back and Claire was struggling with the adjustment. That is not what you said to me, I replied. Helen looked at Mark. What did you say? Mark leaned back. I said she was having anxiety around spending. Which is true. My pulse beat in my ears. That is not true. Claire, he said gently, you were taking screenshots of bank alerts. Because there is a bank account I don't know about. Danielle sat up. What bank account? Mark's eyes flicked toward him. An old reserve account. Helen's face shifted. You didn't mention an account. It's not relevant. I turned to her. He said it was none of my business. Helen looked down at her plate. For the first time, she did not defend him immediately. Mark saw it. Mom, don't let her make this sound sinister. I'm asking because I don't understand, Helen said. His jaw tightened. There's nothing to understand. I let the silence stretch. Then I asked, if it's nothing, why was wealth management mail going to your office? Daniel muttered, Jesus. Helen looked at Mark again. Mark? He picked up his water glass. It's retirement planning. Then why hide it? I asked. I didn't hide it. It was mailed to your office. Because payroll changed departments. The words came out clean. Too clean. I watched him realize it. Payroll? I asked. He set the glass down. I meant benefits. No, you said payroll. He looked at me with pure hatred for one bare second. Then the mask returned. Claire, you're twisting words. No. You just gave me a new one. Helen's voice was low now. Mark, what does payroll have to do with wealth management? Nothing. Then why did you say it? Because I'm being attacked in my own mother's house. I looked at Helen. Do you see it? She did not answer. But she did not look away from him either. That silence was different. It was no longer against me. Mark pushed his chair back. I'm done. You always are when numbers enter the room, I said. He stood. You sound paranoid. I stood too, slowly. The table seemed to blur at the edges, but my voice stayed clear. Then court paperwork should clear everything up. No one spoke. Even the football game from the living room seemed quieter. Mark stared at me. What did you just say? I said court paperwork should clear everything up. Helen's hand moved to her throat. Claire, are you talking about divorce? I swallowed. That word still hurt. Not because it shocked me. Because some part of me had been waiting for it. I'm talking about financial disclosure. Mark laughed once. You don't even know what that means. I know it means documents. His face hardened. You want strangers in our accounts? No, I said. You put strangers between us when you started hiding them. Daniel stood. I'm going to check on Rachel. No, Mark snapped. Daniel froze. Mark noticed everyone staring and lowered his voice. I mean, this is family. We don't need people walking out like there's a show. I looked at him. You made one. He leaned across the table. You need to think very carefully about where this road goes. Helen whispered, Mark. He ignored her. You think a judge is going to admire you for tearing apart your daughter's home over a misunderstanding? My hands trembled under the table, so I pressed my nails into my palms until the feeling sharpened. There was the threat again. Not shouted. Not slammed. Placed carefully beside Lily's name. This is not about tearing apart her home, I said. Then what is it about? I looked at him. Truth. The word landed alone. If you believe truth always finds the room where lies feel safest, stay with the last receipt. Mark's eyes narrowed. Helen closed hers. I picked up my purse from the back of the chair. Claire, Helen said. I turned to her. I defended him because he is my son, she said, but her voice was weaker now. I know. She looked at Mark. But I need to ask you something. He looked furious. Not now. Yes, now, she said. I waited. Helen's hands twisted her napkin. Is there money Claire doesn't know about? Mark stared at his mother like she had slapped him. That's what she does, he said quietly. She gets people to turn. Helen flinched. I saw it. A crack in the wall. Not enough to save me yet. Enough to prove I was not imagining the wall. I left the dining room and found Lily in the kitchen with Rachel. She had whipped cream on her finger and worry in her eyes. Are we going home? She asked. Yes, honey. Is Dad mad? I crouched in front of her. Dad is having grown-up feelings. Are you mad? I touched her sleeve. I'm clear. She did not understand. But I did. On the drive home, Mark did not speak. Lily fell asleep in the back seat, her cheek against the window. Streetlights passed over Mark's face, slicing it into shadow and gold. Finally, he said, you embarrassed me tonight. I looked out the windshield. No, Mark. He scoffed. I didn't? You felt exposed. That is not the same thing. His hands tightened on the wheel. You have no idea what you just started. I watched the road ahead. I think I started late. The next morning, I waited until Lily was at school and Mark had left for work. Then I opened my laptop. My hands were steady as I searched for family law attorneys near me. The first office I called had no openings. The second asked if it was urgent. I looked at the folder named court. Yes, I said. What is the matter regarding? The receptionist asked. I looked at the notes, the screenshots, the tax stub photos, the forwarded emails, the bank alert, the wealth management envelope. Financial disclosure, I said. She paused. Then her voice changed. We can schedule you with Grace Miller tomorrow morning. I closed my eyes. For the first time since the grocery store, I did not feel like I was begging for permission to know my own life. I'll be there, I said. When I hung up, I wrote one more line in the black notebook. Mark changed salary story at Helen's dinner. Payroll became benefits. Then I underlined it once. Not because I knew how this would end. Because I finally knew where it had to go. Grace Miller's office smelled like coffee, paper, and lemon furniture polish. It was not a dramatic room. No dark wood walls. No shouting. No movie-style desk where someone slammed a folder and promised revenge. Just a small office with framed degrees, a box of tissues, and a woman in a gray blazer who looked at my documents like they were speaking a language she already knew. She did not interrupt me once. When I finished, my voice felt scraped raw. Grace tapped one finger against the edge of my printed screenshots. Claire, I need to ask this carefully. I nodded. Has Mark ever restricted your access to money before this? I looked down at my hands. The leather chair was cool under my palms. Not like this. Not like this, she repeated. He handled the bills. I handled the house. That was our arrangement. Did you have access to all accounts? I thought I did. Grace looked at the bank alert. And now? Now I think I had access to the accounts he wanted me to see. She leaned back slightly. That distinction matters. My throat tightened. I don't want to destroy my family. Grace's expression stayed calm. Understanding your finances does not destroy a family. I blinked hard. Mark says it will. Mark benefits from you believing that. The sentence sat between us. Clean. Cold. Useful. I looked at the folder in my lap. What can court paperwork actually show? Grace folded her hands. Income. Bonuses. Stock payouts. Retirement accounts. Consulting payments. Bank transfers. Assets. Debts. Tax returns. Business interests. Anything relevant to marital finances. My chest tightened. So if he lied about his salary, financial disclosure can expose it. I stared at her. Even if he says it is private? Especially then. The room went quiet. The printer behind her clicked once and warmed to life. That small mechanical sound made the moment feel real. Claire, Grace said, I am not telling you what decision to make about your marriage today. But if what you've shown me is accurate, you need protection before he moves more money. I sat straighter. More money? She slid one page toward me. The hidden account concerns me. The wealth management mail concerns me. The spending while claiming hardship concerns me. But his language concerns me too. What language? Think about Lily before you start a war. My stomach tightened. That was about custody, wasn't it? It was about control. I looked away. For years, I had been afraid of being the woman who overreacted. Now I was afraid I had underreacted so long that my life had changed shape without me noticing. Grace passed me a pen. We can request temporary financial orders. It does not mean everything is final today. It means neither of you should drain accounts, hide assets, or punish the other financially while the court reviews disclosure. I held the pen. It felt heavier than it should have. What if he gets angry? Grace met my eyes. Then we document that too. I signed. Not with triumph. With fear. But my hand did not stop. When I got home, Mark's car was already in the driveway. He was never home at 2 in the afternoon. The house was quiet when I opened the door. Too quiet. He stood in the kitchen with his laptop open on the counter. Where were you? I kept my purse on my shoulder. Out. He smiled without warmth. That's vague. You like vague. His eyes dropped to the folder under my arm. What's that? Paper. Claire. Mark. He closed the laptop. Did you hire someone? I took off my coat slowly. I spoke to an attorney. His face did not explode. That would have been easier. Instead, he went still. Then he laughed softly. You hired a lawyer? I consulted one. Over grocery money. Over hidden accounts. His eyes narrowed. You have no idea what you've done. I think I'm learning. He walked to the sink and turned on the faucet, then turned it off without washing anything. You're letting strangers into our marriage. You hid strangers in our finances. That doesn't even make sense. It does to me now. He rubbed his mouth. Claire, we could have fixed this privately. No, Mark. Privacy is where you hid it. His face shifted. The caring mask appeared again, but it was thinner this time. I know you're scared. I am. Then let me handle it. The old part of me almost answered. Almost. But the new part heard the trap. No. His jaw tightened. No? No. I'm your husband. And I'm not your dependent child. He stared at me. Then he picked up his keys. You'll regret bringing court into this. I heard Lily's name in the silence even though he did not say it. When he left, the kitchen still smelled like his coffee. I opened our banking app. The joint savings balance was lower. Much lower. My body went cold. Yesterday, there had been a little over $18,000. Now there was $4,000. I checked again. Then again. Then I saw the transfer. $14,000 moved out that morning. Description: family debt. My fingers went numb around the phone. I called Grace. Her assistant answered first, then placed me on hold. The hold music was soft piano. I hated it. Grace came on the line. Claire? He moved money. How much? 14,000. When? This morning. Screenshot it now. I already am. Good. Email it to me while we're on the phone. My breath shook. He knew. He suspected. He wrote family debt. Grace's voice stayed firm. Do not text him about this. Do not warn him. Send me the screenshot. I sent it. A few seconds later, she said, I have it. What happens now? We file emergency language with the temporary orders. Asset restraint, disclosure demand, and request for explanation of the transfer. I pressed my hand against the counter. The stone felt cold. He did exactly what you warned me about. Yes, Grace said. And now he did it after you sought counsel. Does that matter? It matters. I closed my eyes. For the first time, his sabotage did not make me feel powerless. It made him look predictable. Some betrayals cry. Some betrayals come with receipts. That night, Megan came over with a bottle of wine she never opened. She sat at my dining table while I showed her the forwarded emails from years ago. Her face changed as she read each one. Claire, she whispered. I waited. She read Mark's email out loud. Trust me on this. I'll handle the income side. Then another. My salary can carry us easily. Then another. It makes more sense for you to pause work. She looked up. He told you to quit. Yes. And then told everyone you chose comfort. Yes. Megan's eyes filled. I'm sorry. The apology hit me harder than doubt had. I looked down at my mug of tea. It's okay. No, it isn't. I made you feel like you had to prove pain before I believed you. My fingers tightened around the mug. You were trying to be careful. I was trying to be neutral. She wiped under one eye. But neutral helped him. I looked at my sister, and something in my chest loosened. I needed someone to say that. I'm saying it now. My phone buzzed on the table. Helen. Megan looked at the screen. Do you want me to stay? Yes. I answered on speaker. Claire? Helen's voice sounded smaller than usual. Yes. I need to ask you something, and I need you not to hang up. I'm listening. Did Mark move money today? I looked at Megan. How do you know that? Helen inhaled sharply. He came by. When? This afternoon. What did he say? He said you were unstable. He said you had dragged lawyers into things. He said he had to protect funds before you spent them trying to punish him. My pulse thudded once. Megan mouthed, liar. Helen continued. I believed him for about 5 minutes. I said nothing. Then I remembered something. What? Helen's voice trembled. Last year, after your anniversary dinner, he was drinking in my kitchen. He said if you ever left, you would get nothing because you didn't know where anything was. The room went silent. My skin prickled. Megan covered her mouth. Helen whispered, at the time, I thought it was an ugly joke. I closed my eyes. It wasn't. No, Helen said. I don't think it was. My voice came out low. Why didn't you tell me? Because I didn't want to believe my son could mean it. There was the truth. Not clean. Not enough. But real. Helen began to cry quietly. I defended him because he was mine. I looked at the dining table, at the printed emails, the bank screenshots, the notes, the years of my life slowly rearranging into evidence. I was yours too, Helen. She made a small broken sound. I know. No, I said. You knew I was his wife. You forgot I was family. Megan reached for my hand. Helen breathed in unevenly. You're right. Those two words changed the room. Not because they fixed anything. Because someone who had defended him finally stopped protecting the lie. After the call, Megan stayed until Lily came home from a friend's house. We put the papers away before Lily walked in. She ran to me with cold cheeks and a backpack bouncing against her shoulders. Mom, can we have pasta tonight? I hugged her a second too long. Yes, sweetheart. Are you okay? I kissed the top of her head. I'm getting okay. Later, after dinner, Mark came home. He looked at Megan's car outside and stopped in the doorway. What is she doing here? Megan stood. Supporting my sister. He smiled. Oh. So Claire has recruited you too. Megan's voice was quiet. No, Mark. Your emails recruited me. His face changed. What emails? The ones where you asked her to leave her job. He looked at me. You went through old emails? They were mine, I said. You're building a case against your own husband. No, I said. You built it. I saved it. His eyes moved from me to Megan. You have no idea what she's like behind closed doors. Megan stepped forward. I know what you sound like in writing. That stopped him. For one clean second, Mark had no room to perform. Then he picked up his briefcase. I'm not staying in a house where I'm being ambushed. I looked at him. You moved $14,000. It was for family debt. What debt? He pointed at me. This. This is why I had to take control. The words came out too fast. Had to take control. Megan heard them. I heard them. Mark heard himself too. His mouth closed. I stepped closer. Thank you. He frowned. For what? For finally naming it. He left again. But this time, the slam of the door did not shake me. I stood in the hallway with my sister beside me, my daughter upstairs, and my evidence folder waiting. Mark had spent years making me feel small enough to doubt numbers. But numbers do not care who sounds confident. Numbers do not care who smiles at dinner. Numbers do not care who says good wife, family debt, pressure, or protection. They sit there. Patient. Precise. Ready. The court papers arrived on a Thursday morning. Not in a dramatic knock. Not with thunder. Just a thick envelope in my mailbox, pressed between a furniture catalog and a coupon flyer for pizza. I knew what it was before I opened it. My name was typed beside Mark's. Claire Ellis. Mark Ellis. The paper felt dry under my fingers. For one strange second, I remembered signing our wedding guest book with the same last name and thinking it looked like a promise. Now it looked like a case. I carried the envelope to the kitchen table and called Grace before I opened it. Did you receive something? She asked. Yes. Disclosure? I think so. Open it slowly. If anything feels confusing, don't interpret alone. I slid my finger under the flap. The paper edge scraped my skin, but I did not stop. There were bank records. Payroll records. Tax summaries. Bonus statements. A declaration from Mark. And then one page that made the room tilt without moving. I read the first line twice. Then the second. Then the number. Grace, I said. I'm here. There was no salary cut. She was quiet for half a breath. What do the payroll records show? I swallowed. A raise. How much? I read the number out loud. My voice sounded like it belonged to someone sitting across the room. Grace's tone changed. Claire. There's more. I turned the page. Quarterly bonus. Another page. Stock payout. Another. Consulting income. My mouth went dry. He was earning more than ever. Grace did not soften it. Yes. I stared at the papers until the numbers stopped being numbers and became scenes. The cereal at the grocery store. The chicken removed from the belt. Lily asking for toast. Mark's oatmeal made with water. His mother telling me to act like a good wife. My face burned, but not from shame this time. From recognition. He made me feel poor, I whispered. Grace said, he made you feel dependent. I pressed my hand flat against the table. The wood was cool. He told me his salary was reduced. I know. He told everyone. I know. He told me I was spending like a queen. Grace was silent. That silence was not doubt. It was space. I filled it with the only truth left. He lied. Yes, she said. And now the paperwork says so. The hearing was set for Monday. I wore a navy dress Megan had helped me choose. Not because it made me look powerful. Because it made me feel contained. The courthouse hallway smelled like old paper, floor polish, and coffee from a vending machine somewhere around the corner. Megan stood on my left. Helen stood a few feet away. She had asked if she could come. I almost said no. Then she said, I don't need to sit beside you. I just need to stop standing behind him. So I let her come. Mark arrived 10 minutes late with his attorney, a sharp-faced man named Peter Walsh. Mark looked at me once. Then he looked away. Megan whispered, don't chase his face. I'm not. Helen looked down when Mark passed her. He noticed. That was the first crack before the room even opened. Inside, the judge did not look angry. That surprised me. Part of me had imagined anger would make the truth feel bigger. But the judge was calm. Grace was calm. Even the papers were calm. Only Mark looked restless. His knee moved under the table. Peter Walsh stood first. Your Honor, this is a domestic disagreement that has unfortunately escalated. My client has consistently supported the household and made reasonable efforts to manage family finances during a stressful period. Grace stood. Your Honor, the issue is not stress. The issue is non-disclosure, misrepresentation of income, unilateral transfer of marital funds, and financial control. Peter sighed. That is a harsh characterization. Grace placed one hand on the folder. It is a documented one. The judge looked down at the file. Ms. Miller, proceed. Grace opened the first exhibit. Payroll records show Mr. Ellis represented to my client that his salary had been reduced. In fact, his base salary increased by 28%. Mark leaned toward Peter and whispered. Peter touched his arm lightly. Grace continued. Mr. Ellis also received quarterly bonuses during the same period in which Mrs. Ellis's grocery card declined for ordinary household purchases. Peter stood. Your Honor, bonuses are not always predictable. Grace nodded. Agreed. Which is why we also included the direct deposits. She slid another page forward. The bonuses were paid before and during the claimed hardship. The judge looked at Mark. Mr. Ellis, did you tell your wife your salary had been reduced? Peter stood quickly. Your Honor, my client's position is that household cash flow was reduced due to business obligations and tax planning. The judge's face did not change. That was not my question. Mark's throat moved. Yes, Your Honor, I told her compensation was complicated. Grace said, that was not the language he used. Peter turned. Objection. The judge looked at Grace. Keep it to documents for now. Yes, Your Honor. Grace opened the next page. Bank records show transfers into an account titled M. Ellis Reserve. Mrs. Ellis had no access to this account. Mr. Ellis told her it was none of her business. Peter stood. My client disputes the emotional framing. Grace looked at him. The account title is not emotional. The transfer history is not emotional. The access restriction is not emotional. Peter sat. The judge looked at the page. How much was transferred? Grace answered. Over the reviewed period, approximately $96,000. The room narrowed around that number. 96,000. I did not gasp. I did not cry. I looked at the carpet beneath my shoes and felt the ground hold me. Mark finally looked at me. His face was pale. That was his one visible crack. Not dramatic. Not loud. Just the face of a man who had heard his private number spoken in a public room. Grace turned another page. Additionally, after Mrs. Ellis consulted counsel, Mr. Ellis transferred $14,000 from joint savings under the memo family debt. No supporting documentation has been provided. Peter stood again. That transfer was made to preserve funds. The judge looked at him. From whom? Peter paused. Grace did not. From the spouse who had just asked for disclosure. Mark's attorney sat down slowly. Justice did not shout that morning. It arrived stapled, stamped, and filed. The judge turned to Mark. Mr. Ellis, where did the $14,000 go? Mark adjusted his tie. It was allocated toward obligations. What obligations? Business obligations. In your name or the marital estate? Mark looked at Peter. The judge said, Mr. Ellis, answer the question. Mark's voice lowered. My name. Grace wrote something down. The judge looked at the records again. And the consulting income? Peter stood. That income belongs partially to an LLC. Grace opened another exhibit. Paid to his personal account first, Your Honor. Peter said, for administrative reasons. Grace replied, and then moved in partial amounts to the reserve account Mrs. Ellis did not know existed. The judge looked at the paper for a long moment. I heard someone shift in the back row. Helen. Not a crowd. Just one woman finally uncomfortable with the son she had defended. The judge spoke carefully. I am not making final findings today. But based on the documents presented, there is sufficient concern regarding disclosure, unilateral movement of funds, and access to marital resources. Mark leaned forward. Your Honor, I have always provided for my family. The judge looked at him. Providing is not the same as controlling. The sentence landed so cleanly I felt it in my ribs. Mark's mouth closed. Grace turned slightly toward me, but she did not smile. This was not a celebration. It was correction. The judge ordered temporary support. The judge ordered Mark to contribute to my legal fees. The judge restrained both parties from moving or hiding assets outside ordinary expenses. The judge ordered complete financial disclosure, including consulting contracts, retirement accounts, bonus records, stock payout documents, and statements from Bentley and Rowe Wealth Management. Then the judge added forensic review if the records remained incomplete. Peter tried to soften it. Your Honor, that may be excessive. The judge looked at him. Given the discrepancies, it is appropriate. Discrepancies. Such a polite word for betrayal. When the hearing ended, Mark turned toward me in the hallway. Megan stepped closer, but I touched her wrist. I wanted to hear him without fear deciding for me. This didn't have to happen, he said. His voice was low. No, I said. It didn't. You humiliated me. You lied in writing. I was managing risk. You were managing me. His eyes moved to Helen. She stood a few steps behind me, her purse held against her chest. Mom, he said. She looked at him with wet eyes. Don't. His face hardened. You believe her now? Helen's voice shook, but it did not break. I believe the papers. For once, Mark had no mother to hide behind. He looked at Megan. And you? Megan folded her arms. I believe the emails you wrote. His mouth tightened. You all wanted a villain. I looked at him. No. I wanted a husband. The words left me before I could protect them. And there it was. The vulnerable place under all the evidence. I had not wanted revenge first. I had wanted the man who brought gas station flowers home and said payday was 3 days away. I had wanted the partner I thought I was building with. I had wanted to be wrong. My eyes stung, but my voice stayed steady. You made me mourn someone who was standing right in front of me. Mark looked away. Not with guilt. With annoyance that grief did not serve him. That helped me let go. Grace came out of the courtroom with her folder. Claire, we should not discuss more here. I nodded. Mark gave a cold laugh. You need your lawyer to tell you when to breathe now? I looked at him one last time. No. I needed court papers to prove I had been breathing underwater. He stared at me. I walked away before he could answer. Outside, the air felt sharp and clean. The courthouse steps were still damp from morning rain. Megan slipped her hand through my arm. Helen stood beside us, quiet. After a moment, she said, I told myself he was protecting you. I looked at her. I know. I was wrong. Yes. She nodded, accepting it. I am sorry, Claire. This time, I did not rescue her from the weight of it. I believe you. She cried then, softly, without asking me to comfort her. That mattered. Megan squeezed my arm. What now? I looked at the courthouse doors. The place where Mark's story had walked in confident and walked out documented. Now, I said, we finish this honestly. My phone buzzed. An email from Grace. Subject line, court order entered. I opened it and saw the stamped document attached. For years, Mark had made me feel like truth was something I had to earn by being calm enough, quiet enough, good enough, useful enough. But truth had not needed me to be perfect. It only needed me to stop deleting myself. I saved the court order into the folder. Then I renamed the folder. Not court. Freedom. I signed the revised separation agreement on a Tuesday morning. The pen did not shake. That surprised me. Grace watched from across the conference table while Megan sat beside me, silent but close enough that her sleeve brushed mine whenever I moved. The room smelled like fresh coffee and printer ink. Outside the window, traffic moved like nothing sacred had ended. Take your time, Grace said. I have. She nodded once. Mark sat across from me with Peter beside him. He looked thinner than he had in court. Not broken. Just less polished. His tie was slightly crooked, and for once, no one reached over to fix it. He watched my hand move across the paper. Claire, he said. Grace looked up. We are here to sign. I know. Then speak through counsel. Mark gave a bitter smile. Of course. Everything has to be official now. I kept signing. He leaned back. We don't have to let strangers decide our life. I looked at him. You let lies decide it first. His jaw tightened. Peter placed a hand near his file. Mark. No, I want to say one thing. Grace's voice stayed calm. Make it relevant. Mark looked at me with the soft eyes he used when he wanted me to remember the old apartment, the cheap flowers, the nights we ate pasta from chipped bowls and called it a date. We can fix this privately. I set the pen down. Privacy was how you controlled me. He blinked. That's not fair. It's accurate. I made mistakes. You made systems. His face hardened, then softened again. Claire, I was scared. I almost laughed, but I did not. That would have given him drama. You were not scared when you told me to put chicken back. He looked away. You keep going back to that. Yes. Why? Because that was the day your lie touched our daughter's dinner. The room went still. Megan's sleeve pressed against mine. Mark swallowed. I never wanted Lily hurt. Then you should not have used her name as a warning. I was trying to keep the family together. No, I said. You were trying to keep the story together. Peter cleared his throat. Perhaps we should proceed. Grace looked at me. Claire? I picked up the pen. I'm ready. Mark watched me sign the last page. For years, I thought strength would feel like anger. It did not. It felt like a quiet room, a steady hand, and my name belonging to me again. Grace gathered the papers. The agreement will be filed this afternoon. Peter nodded. Mark stood too quickly. Can I speak to her alone? No, Megan said. He looked at my sister. I didn't ask you. I know, she said. I answered anyway. A flash of the old Mark crossed his face. The one who hated when women stood in a line he had not arranged. Then Helen entered the hallway outside the glass door. She had come to watch Lily while we signed, but she stayed back until it was finished. Mark saw her and opened the door. Mom. Helen looked at him. Not today. His face changed. I'm still your son. Yes, she said. And Claire was still my family when I chose not to hear her. He looked embarrassed. Helen, Peter murmured. But Helen kept her eyes on me. I defended my son before I listened to the truth. I said nothing. She stepped closer. I am sorry, Claire. I looked at her hands. They were twisting a tissue, but her voice did not ask me to comfort her. That mattered. I accept your apology, I said. Her eyes filled. I know it doesn't repair it. No. She nodded. But it stops adding to it. Mark gave a sharp breath. So this is what we're doing now? Everyone lines up to punish me? I turned toward him. No, Mark. This is what happens when people stop helping you punish me. His mouth closed. There was no crowd. No shouting. No dramatic collapse. Just consequence. And somehow, that felt stronger. After the papers were filed, Megan drove me to the bank. I carried my folder against my chest like it was something alive. The young woman at the desk smiled. How can I help you today? I looked at Megan. Then I looked back. I need to open an account in my name only. The words came out clean. My name only. Not because I hated marriage. Not because I wanted a life without trust. Because trust without access had nearly buried me. The banker typed while I answered questions. Address. Phone number. Email. Identification. Employment status. That last one caught in my throat. Megan touched my knee under the desk. I breathed in. I'm returning to work, I said. The banker smiled politely. Wonderful. She did not know how much that word cost me. Wonderful. That evening, I opened my laptop at the kitchen table. Lily was upstairs drawing, and the house smelled like tomato sauce and garlic bread. Not expensive. Not impressive. Enough. Megan sat across from me with a mug of tea. Do you want help with your resume? I looked at the blank document. I don't know where to start. Start before Mark. I stared at her. She smiled gently. You had a life before his version of it. My eyes stung. I forgot what I was good at. No, Megan said. You were trained not to mention it. I typed my name at the top of the page. Claire Ellis. Then I paused. Megan noticed. You can change it later. I know. I looked at the letters. For now, the name did not feel like his property. It felt like evidence that I had survived carrying something that no longer owned me. I typed the first line of my experience. Finance Operations Coordinator. My hands trembled once. Then stopped. Later, Lily came downstairs holding a drawing of 3 people under a yellow sun. Mom, is Dad coming for dinner? I turned in my chair. Not tonight, sweetheart. Is he mad? He has feelings to work through. Are you sad? I pulled her close. Yes. She leaned into me. Are we okay? I kissed her hair. We are telling the truth now. She looked at me. Is that good? It is the only way we get better. She nodded like she understood enough. That was my first vow. Not at an altar. Not in white. Not in front of flowers. At a kitchen table, with garlic in the air and court papers in a folder nearby. I would never again confuse silence with peace. I would never let my daughter believe love means being kept in the dark. I would never call control protection just because the man saying it sounded calm. The next week, the final order arrived by email. I saved it without crying. Then I printed one copy and placed it in the folder named Freedom. The same folder that began with a grocery receipt, a declined card, and one sentence that tried to shame me. Maybe stop spending like a queen. I looked at those words one last time. Then I wrote a new sentence beneath them. I stopped begging for truth and made the truth answer. If you have ever been made to feel crazy for asking reasonable questions, tell your story in the comments. And if you believe dignity is the strongest revenge, stay with the last receipt.